gentlemen, welcome to Rolling with the Punches with your co-host, David Contreras and Jaime Ochoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to Rolling with the Punches. Today we have a special guest on, the one and only Mikey Garcia. And we're very excited to find out the latest on what's going on with Mikey. And as of right now, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, David Contreras, out there in Fort Lauderdale. David, are you there?
I'm here. Definitely here. Hey, Mikey, we want to welcome you to the show, man. You know what? Both of us are huge fans. We've been watching you. I've been to a lot of your fights in Los Angeles. And dude, you're a great example to the Latino community, to the kids in the Latino community.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being on our show.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate, having me, and it's an honor to, spend some time talking boxing with real, boxing people. That's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Mikey, but before we get started, I wanted to I'm not pushing your pound for pound CBD business, but I do want to tell you that I live in Fort Lauderdale. My mother-in-law, who's 86 years old, lives with us. And I'll tell you, one of the things that she, every night, I'm not just saying it, but I literally have your product here, your pound for pound. And every night she asks for her, you call them gummy bears. She calls them teddy bears. And,
teddy bear.
And you know what? Every night before she goes to sleep, she has to have her teddy bear. First word out of her mouth, "Where's my teddy bear?" And she knows it's made by you and by your company. And I want to thank you for that. Believe it or not, even over here in Fort Lauderdale, this 86-year-old woman is a true fan of yours. When I'm watching boxing on Saturday nights, she's sitting there. And when she takes her teddy bear, she's more than happy to know that it comes from you and your company. Thank you very much for your company.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I hope she feels well. And like anybody that gives it a try, I always get very good, positive feedback. It's a great product. It's for everyone. And it does not contain any THC, any drugs, nothing like that. It's 100% just CBD, which is what helps, the body relax, feel better rested, helps with a lot of ailments. So I'm grateful that, and I appreciate that you guys are actually using the product. And I'm sure anybody that gives it a try, they will also feel great.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you too, before I forget, I do take your pills. I have your pills right here.
Yeah.
And lately I've picked up, it's called stand-up boarding. We have a surfboard and you stand up on it and you do paddle boarding. And I'll tell you, I'm 60 years old, and every time I get on that board, my legs are shaking. I take 2 of your little pills. And like I said, I'm not pushing your product. I'm just telling you reality.
Just testimonial.
Dude, I'm telling you, I take 2 of those pills before I get on my board. Here in the ocean, I get on the board, and all of a sudden, I'm calm and I'm relaxed. I get on the board, and then I could do flips if I want to.
Man, that's so cool, man. See, that's great. That it's real people just like yourself that give me these testimonials, and they confirm that the product works and that it's a great product. I know you're not doing it for promotional reasons. You're just being honest. And that's how I feel. Everybody that tries my product has always had very good, positive feedback. And, I encourage everybody, to try it. Helps with many, many ailments or many reasons. So it's there. It's, P4P, CBD.com, pound for pound CBD. It's a great product. Give it a try. We're always hosting giveaways. We're hosting discount codes for holidays. And so there's a lot of opportunities to get it, at a decent price. It's not going to be something that's going to really, break the bank type of situation. We want to make sure that people can afford it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Me being prior law enforcement, my questions are going to be geared toward, I understand that you had a law enforcement career, correct? You were with the sheriff's
I graduated. I graduated from the Police and Sheriff's Department Academy back in 2010. The Police and Sheriff's Academy here in Ventura here in California.
So what made you, since you were a young man, did you always want to be a police officer? Where did that desire come to go through a police academy?
Yeah, well, growing up as a kid, I remember seeing, police officers come to the school, talk to us about, what their job was like, and having the K9, the K9 unit with the dog, the German Shepherd, and, so it kind of, always had that interest there. obviously boxing was something that was also in the family. And as I was, in junior high and high school, I had the amateur career going. But after high school, I wanted to see firsthand, get some, taste of what law enforcement is like. And also just in case boxing didn't do well for me, I could have something to fall back on, which, like I said, law enforcement.
That's awesome.
To do that. So I did. I graduated the Police and Sheriff's Academy.
What type of experiences did you have? I mean, I understand you probably went a lot of ride-alongs, and also after graduating the academy, you actually were working the field, right?
Well, we did a few ride-alongs, and then I had a few. They were not full on. Well, I wasn't on duty, but it was just, like I said, I was ride-along, or like the tasks that we did, and just patrolling, just your ordinary day-to-day activities. Only had one night ride-along where you pull over some people and whatnot, just your day-to-day thing. There's a few other members that actually had chased people, running out the car and stuff. Yeah. I didn't get to do all that. But also because I wanted to go in a safer route. I was boxing. I was already a professional. I was having, being in the top 10 contender at the moment. And so I wanted to, also be careful of how I approach law enforcement. I don't want to get hurt and have to, pass on the boxing career. But you got to experience a lot more than what people see. A lot of times people only experience law enforcement, contact in a negative situation, whether it might be in an accident or a fight or some negative situation. Whereas there's a lot of good also that law enforcement is there to protect and help and aid, and that's a good side. That's what I liked, helping people. Whereas, like I said, for the most part, people are getting arrested or getting in trouble, and that's the only time that they contact a police officer. And so they have a bad taste, a bad experience maybe. But there's a lot more that goes into it, and that's kind of why I wanted to get a first-hand experience. And that's what I want to do. I like helping people. I like to help and aid and get them, the attention that they need. And that's what I was really going for.
That's interesting, Mikey. So now when you see the news and you see all these things that are going on nationwide, officer-involved shootings and so forth, I think that because you went through the academy, you went in a couple of ride-alongs, and you were involved in law enforcement, it's probably helps you see the incident with a different perspective, right? Basically saying, definitely. I understand what the officer's going through, going on that radio call. He gets out of his car. He doesn't know on the traffic stop who's in the car.
Yep,
how,
exactly.
You understand that because you've been through
definitely.
Traffic stops.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely a different perspective. It's always like I look at things not only by what the media is portraying or what the video says or video shows. There's always another side to it. And coming into, like you mentioned, a traffic stop, you don't know who the driver is, if they're maybe on the run, and maybe they have a weapon on them. So as an officer, you have to be very careful how you approach a car, why you have to behave a certain way. You got to be very authoritative with anybody, because you got to have your guard up. You can't lay your guard down because it's your life on the line. So I see that when I see a video of officer-involved shootings or any kind of thing that's out there in the media, I'm always kind of looking at it also through the officer side. It's their life also on the line. It's his life. He wants to go home to his family and his kids. At the end of the night, he wants to make sure he goes home. So he's going to treat the situation accordingly. And although sometimes the people don't understand this, or they just don't have that experience, and they go by whatever the media says, there's a lot more to it than just that. So I sometimes agree with the actions that the officers take, whereas the people that haven't had that experience that I've had, they're only siding with the victim or what the media is telling them. But there's a lot more to it. And a lot of it is standard protocol. You like I said, you got to be in control of the situation. There's a lot of things that are taught, for a police officer, and you're protecting not only yourself, but you're also protecting the life of others. It's not just the suspect that you have to be in control, but you got to be careful with everybody around you. So there's a lot more to it. I don't agree with a lot of things that the media portrays, with all these different propositions to defund police, departments. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because I think police officers need more resources. They need more resources. Defunding the police or eliminating, the funds like that, it's only going to cause more havoc, more trouble. Because now you're not equipped well, you're not trained well, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough staff and personnel to help a situation. So I don't agree with a lot of things that are going around right now. But I do agree that maybe in certain situations, we have a bad officer, a bad cop that maybe didn't quite do things, the best way. I don't want to say the wrong way, but the best way. And it happens, just like in any job. It happens. It's unfortunate that some of those cases have, translated to deaths and really, bad situations like that. But, it's not one man. It's a group that you have to look at law enforcement as a big, agency, not just one person. I mean, one person doesn't reflect on everybody, so it's unfair.
Exactly.
I mean, I got a lot to talk about too, but
it's very interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
Now, the $1 million question, for my $1 million question, Jaime has a couple of $1 million questions. My $1 million question is, when you retire from boxing, you're still young. Are you going to pursue a career in law enforcement, or are you going to be a promoter? What are your goals?
Look, we've thought about a lot of that. I don't think I'm gonna retire right now to really start focusing on retirement, but it's gonna come. Retirement will come. Whether that's in 2-3 years, it could be 5 years from now, I don't know. But my boxing career will come to an end soon. It's just like everybody has to have that retirement. I do plan on promoting fighters. I do plan on either promoting and keeping the promotion going, or maybe just focus more on the management side of the sport, where I manage a handful of fighters, guide their career, manage them, direct their careers. But I've also thought about having a career in law enforcement. And like I said, I like helping people. I like to, inform people. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't be patrolling in the streets, looking for just, the traffic, violations or infractions like that. I probably wouldn't do that. I think I would probably search or look forward to having a more of a deeper, maybe an investigation, and maybe, like you mentioned earlier, we're talking about cases that have gone unsolved. Maybe like detective work where I can really help, open up something to light. Yeah. Whereas I'm not on the street, just on the street, I might get the wrong guy that we end up in a bad situation. So I might go a different route. I've thought about it too. Like I said, I like helping people, and if I can help people any way I can, I'm there.
Well, you know what? That answer segues into the next question that I have. Have you ever thought about running for public office?
You know what? That's something that we've actually thought. My neighbor here with Jaime, he's a couple people that here in the city and in the county have already brought up to my attention, and that is something that I also think I'm gonna do. And actually, I'll probably do that fairly soon. I think we're gonna probably start looking into that probably within the next 2 to 3 years, where I can actually be help, bigger help for my community, for the people around me. I'm not gonna be doing anything for any financial reasons. I'm not gonna be doing it for my own personal agenda, my own benefits. I'm gonna do this for the good of the people. Yeah. I consider myself a straightforward guy. Down the middle. I'm not left. I'm not right. Whatever I think benefits the people in general, I think that's where I'm gonna be pushing my agenda for, not my personal agenda, but it's for the people. So give the people a voice. Give the people a fair representation.
Well, I'll tell you, you have my vote, and I know you got Jaime's vote, and you're going to have a lot of more votes. But I'm telling you, people like yourself, they're very rare. People that want to give back to the community, people that love the community. And I really do hope, and I pray to God that God grants you that desire to run for public office and make a difference in our communities. I have one last question. The areas a lot of the communities that love boxing, for example, in East LA, San Diego, different areas, there's barrios, there's places where kids grow up and there's gang members, there's drug addiction. What recommendation, Mikey, would you give a parent right now that is struggling with their son and their daughter, either with drug addiction or with gang violence, getting recruited by these gangsters? What recommendation would you give a parent right now?
Look, if anybody's already dealing with drugs and you need obviously help, they need the right care, the right attention by doctors or facilities that can help, against addiction, rehabilitation, of course, push for that. But also as a family, as a dad, myself, as a parent, we got to show them all the love and support that we can and start guiding them in sports. Like sports I think are a very, very good resource to help a kid stay active, stay busy, start planning future events, start planning future goals, to keep him motivated on a future goal so that he doesn't, deviate from that. If the kid is in the young teenage, years and is already having, a little bit of trouble, getting in trouble here and there, maybe starts with some drug, use, start planning, 5 years ahead, 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years, and start making those plans so that you have a goal to reach. If the kid is in need of structure, of guidance, us as parents, that's what we're supposed to do, guide them. It's not always the best thing to just punish them and try to use force and try to guide them that way. No, sometimes it's love and care, and like I said, that support, that you're there, and get them involved in sports, whether it's football or in our case boxing. That's what I know, boxing. Just to spend time with them day to day and keep them busy, with goals. I heard a story, I'll share a story recently about different scenario, not drugs, but it was a kid who had been diagnosed with a type of cancer, and the parents were almost like very sad, almost giving up. And the doctor tells them, no, look, this is what we got to do. We have to give him hope and dreams and goals so that he pushes to keep living, to where he doesn't give up. If they see us as parents already, sad enough and giving up, well, what are you giving him? You're giving him the same energy. So in addiction or any trouble, the kid is gonna feel the same way. Well, they already gave up on me. What am I, supposed to do? But if us parents keep pushing and guiding them right with goals and dreams, that keeps them motivated. That you have faith in them. That you keep pushing. So that's kind of what I would suggest. Parents, try to do with anybody that's dealing with a situation like that with young kids. Always encourage them to do better and push with, like I said, create goals, find out what the kid likes, what he loves to do, and push for that. Whether it's through sports or any activity, any career, start following those steps to get there.
Thank you, Mikey. Great advice. Thank you very much. Jaime, it's all yours.
Yeah, Mikey, I want to piggyback on what you just said. I work with kids. I've been working with kids for 28 years in one way or another. I've been in education for that long, and also with sports. I've coached high school baseball, travel ball, in the gym. We've done taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, just involved in many aspects of sports. But one thing that I see, and one of the common denominators that I see right now with the kids that come to me that are struggling, that are hurting, is the absent father, Mikey. Right now we have a big problem with men not stepping up and being men, not being that father. Unfortunately, a lot of times due to incarceration or they were murdered or whatever, it causes many problems for the kids. And they end up hurting, and they end up looking for that love, like you mentioned, in the wrong places. And that's why I think it's important for all of us to come together to make sure that we redirect these kids in the right direction. And sometimes, I'm a father of 4. I have a couple grandchildren. I have 3 of them. And I feel like like I'm pretty good. You know, I could be better. But at the same time, if I see kids that are not physically mine, I still gear them in the right direction, because that's just what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
And I just appreciate, Mikey, that you have that same passion. And like, you know, just hearing you is like, you know, you don't have finance problems, you don't have all these, but for someone to even think about getting involved in that area, it just shows the character that you have, man. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
And I think you're standout guy.
No, thanks. And like I feel that, you know, I do come to different schools or different events, and I'll speak. Sometimes it's all kids need is just a different voice, just a different, you know, someone to look up to, someone to aspire to be, you know, like that person one day. And if I can do that, if I can help a kid, motivate them, inspire them, you know, to reach, you know, higher levels and goals and their dreams, then, you know, that's why I do it. That's why I do what I do when I go to the schools or Boys and Girls Clubs or whatever it may be, different gyms. You know, I speak to the kids a little bit. Sometimes you never know that one kid that's having a hard time. Maybe, like you mentioned, maybe he doesn't have that father figure. Maybe he doesn't have that, you know, role model that others have to look up to. Maybe I could just do that for him, even if it's just that one, you know, 10-minute, 20-minute, you know, speech or conversation that we have one-on-one. That might change his life, you know. And you as a trainer, if you have kids that are there that maybe don't have that father figure, but they start looking up to you, I'm sure you're doing the same thing. You're in a way, you know, inspiring him. You're motivating that kid. You know, whether you know it or not, you are motivating. And that's why I do what I do. You know, I've gone to many schools. I do, you know, from elementary to high school to colleges. I've been, you know, speaking to colleges and even grown adults, you know, business people. You know, sometimes it just takes a few words to really, you know, light up that switch, and they remember something, and it'll help them get through whatever it is that they're dealing with, you know, at the moment. Whether, like I said, it could be something as a kid or an adult or a teenager. If I can help, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right on, Mikey. So since we're on that subject, growing up, who'd you see as I mean, I know your dad's a beautiful man and a great father, but besides that, as far as like boxing, who'd you look up to?
Look, I grew up when I was in the amateurs and started to kind of, you know, develop as a boxer, as an amateur boxer. I really admired Juan Manuel Marquez. Juan Manuel Marquez has been my favorite. I remember watching him even before he had fought Manny Pacquiao, before he became the Marquez that everybody remembers. I already had followed him prior to that. And so I admired his boxing abilities. He was very technical, was very smart, counter puncher. At times, people probably didn't really like the way he fought because he's very technical, very careful, very cautious fighter. It wasn't until he had the wars and the battles with Manny Pacquiao and all the Barrera and Juan Diaz fights that people really loved him for having that warrior, you know, fight in him. He already had that, but he used to be more of a cautious fighter because the fights, you know, required a little more, and he was very technical. I really liked Marquez even before all that. Like I said, you know, I appreciate the technical aspect of boxing. I also like Floyd Mayweather a lot. You know, people don't become fans of Mayweather because they like to see the wars, the battles. But I appreciate a technical fighter like Floyd, very smart, very calculated, very strategic, and great, you know, defense. That's a style that I appreciate and I admire a lot. So Marquez, my favorite fighter. Mayweather, you know, my favorite also to look at and study and just learn.
Two masters right there. I also was a big fan of Marquez before he hit that main light. You know, Nacho Bernstein to me is one of the best trainers that are out there. I mean, I really appreciate his style. Like you said, he uses he develops that mind before he does that body. And I think that's why Marquez lasted so long. You know, he was well preserved, his smarts, and I kind of saw the change during that era too, when Marco Antonio Barrera, when he first came out, he was a banger straight in front of your face. Yeah. But to me, when he made that change and became a little bit more like Juan Manuel, he became that beautiful fighter. Yeah. And so I appreciate that too.
That fight between Barrera and the Prince Hamed, Nazim Hamed, that's the one that made it, you know, where we saw a different side of Barrera that we had not seen before. And that led to, you know, Barrera's, you know, most successful part of his career, you know, so I definitely agree.
Yeah, I remember that fight. I remember the flying carpet coming into the ring. But yeah, that was a great fight, and I was very excited when he pretty much dominated that whole fight. Yeah. But that was some good stuff. Hey, my next question. I know that you've mentioned before in some interviews about Edwin Valero.
Yes.
Where do you think, if he was still with us today, where do you see him in today's world?
See, I actually knew Valero from training from the gym fairly well. I got to spar with him many times. I was as young as 16, 17 years old the very first time that I got in the ring with him to spar. And later I would still help him out. Sometimes they wouldn't get sparring partners because he was knocking out everybody in the gym. So they would call us. They would call me to come spar, and sure, we'd go in there. We'd spar Edwin. Damn, his power is just, you know, unbelievable. I've never felt anybody's punching power like Edwin Valero's. No matter where he landed the punch, or even if you blocked the punch, if you parry it, you just still felt that power. I was fortunate that he never hurt me. He never really was able to land something solid to hurt me, but you can still feel that power everywhere it lands. So I think he's one of the you know, most, you know, heavy hitters, you know, power punchers that I've ever got in the ring, including some of the fights that I've been in, you know, with smaller gloves and it's no headgear, but they still don't compare to Edwin Valero's power. Had he not passed away and he'd still be alive, I think he would have been champion. He was already champion at 30 and 35. I have no doubt that he would have been champion at 40 and possibly even 47 because of that power. He might not have been the most technical fighter. Sometimes he'd leave himself open a little bit. He didn't have the best reflexes, but his power allowed him to get away with stuff like that. Because no matter where he landed, he was hurting you, you know. And so for sure, he would have been champion at 140. He would have been remembered as one of the greatest. At one time, I remember they were talking about a possible fight between him and Manny, and they brought it up to my attention because I had sparred Manny Pacquiao prior to that, and I had been sparring Edwin Valero prior to that. I don't know if my opinion made a difference in that fight not happening, but when it was brought to my attention by you know, Top Rank and Manny Pacquiao's people, you know, I told, you know, hey, I think Edwin Valero hurts Manny. I think Edwin Valero knocks him out. Just, you know, my opinion. I spar both of them, and I think Edwin Valero knocks him out. Fight never happened. I don't know if it had anything to do with my opinion, but I truly believe that. Edwin Valero was just too dangerous. You know, if I felt the power so hard, even with 14-ounce sparring gloves, headgear, I could just imagine with 8-ounce gloves. You know, it was devastating.
I agree, man. That guy was something else. It was just sad that we lost him. Mike, talking about the weight divisions and talking about you, where do you feel the strongest? I know you've been there at 5 different weight categories, but where do you feel the strongest, and where are you the most confident that you'll just take out anybody in front of you?
Look, we started at featherweight, 126 pounds. Later, we moved to 130 pounds. Then I had a layoff. When I came back, I came out at lightweight, 135 pounds. My last fight at 135 was 2 years ago against Robert Easter Jr., where I unified the IBF and WBC lightweight titles. But the weight started to kind of, I started feeling the weight cut. I started feeling the change. So we decided to, move up to 147 because I had already fought at 40 prior to that. I still feel that 140 would probably be most ideal weight for me. I don't think I can do 135 right now. I think 140 would be most ideal. However, I'm fighting at 47 because I'm pursuing a title at 47. I want to conquer a fifth division title, fifth world title in fifth division, which is a welterweight for me. If I were to come back to 40, I think I'd be dominant again. But being that both champions that are at 40, one of them being Jose Ramirez, who's a friend of mine who works out with my brother here at the gym. Obviously, we're not going to fight each other. He holding the WBC and the WBO title. And the other fighter, Josh Taylor, who holds the IBF and the WBA title, he's also with Top Rank. And it seems like they're going to be fighting each other soon. I mean, there's no real world title available for me. So why would I stick around at 40 and fight who? I don't see big fights at 40. And I'm never going to land a title fight as long as they're being, in Jose Ramirez's hand and Josh Taylor's hands. Because, like I said, Top Rank is not going to be working with me. So I decided to stay at 47, where I want to become champion at 47, get that fifth world title, fifth division. And I do believe that there's some big fights for me at 47. The biggest one that I'm trying to, secure would be Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, I think, would be a huge fight for me and for boxing itself. And that also gives me the opportunity to win a world title. I know my first appearance at 47 was not, a good performance. It was bad. I lost against Errol Spence Jr., but that's the way boxing goes sometimes. That's okay. Put that behind me. Let's move forward. Let's make this, a big challenge. And I'm fighting, at 147. I'm securing that. I want to become champion at 47. My body's not made for 47. I'm still a smaller guy, but that's part of the challenge. That's what I'm about. I'm about challenges. I'm about, doing what people don't think I should be doing.
Right. Man, I would love to see that Pacquiao fight, and I hope it happens. But what's up with him and Conor McGregor? I mean, is that going to kind of make things a little difficult? Do you think he's going to take that route first?
I think he probably is going to be fighting Manny. Conor. I think Conor is fighting Manny sometime next year. I know there's probably going to be a lot of money involved, a lot of money at stake. So for the business, reasons, they'll make that fight happen. I think Manny is also a fighter that fights for legacy, and if he does that fight, it's basically just business. He'll come back to boxing, someone like myself. We were already in conversation, talks about fighting Manny this past July. But with COVID happening, we weren't able to secure that. So I still think, there's a lot of interest. I've talked to these people recently, and there's still a lot of interest. They do want to fight me. Seems like that's the fight that's going to happen also. But like I said, being that there's maybe a lot of business involved with the Conor McGregor fight, they might do that first. But I don't think it'll be a full-on boxing match. It might be like a exhibition match, possibly, where, like I said, Manny doesn't want to hurt his legacy like that. I think Manny is the guy, he's up for the challenges. That's why he fought Keith Thurman last year, and fighting everybody that's around. So I think I have a very good chance of fighting Manny also next year.
I'll tell you, Mikey, if wishes would come true, I wish you would fight Manny. Because if he fought McGregor, I truly believe everything Manny stands for. He stands for, he's a good Christian man. He's a good man. He's a politician, but he's a good person. And Conor McGregor, no disrespect to the gentleman, but I mean, the guy's going to come in and is probably going to be disrespectful to Manny because that's That's what he did with
His
Floyd
character.
Mayweather.
Yep.
And, you know, either using a scare tactic or just a tactic to win the audience over.
Yeah.
And I don't think Manny deserves that, being the politician, the good man that he is. And like you said, he's fighting for he's vying for a legacy. So if wishes could come true, I hope you fight him. I hope you beat him, and hope you come back to 140 and you unite all the belts together again after Ramirez goes to 147 with all the belts.
Yeah. That's something that'd be a great plan. That sounds great. I really think that you know what I would want also. You know, get that title at 47 with fight Manny Pacquiao, get that title, and then come back down to 40 and you know dominate a division once again.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, Mikey, I appreciate your time, brother. I'm excited about your future. I'm excited about your business ventures. You're a great example to all the people out there listening today, and myself. I'm really honored to be talking to you today, and looking forward to another exciting fight with Mikey Garcia. And with that, brother, we thank you very much for joining us here with at Rolling with the Punches, and hopefully we see each other soon. And I'm going to take you up on a request to come visit our kids when we're back in.
Oh, for sure.
Cool, man. We got some kids that need to hear you, and I would really appreciate you coming down.
For sure, I'll be more than available. I'll definitely be there. Let's keep in touch. You know, I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and hope everybody, you know, stay safe. And I wish everybody well. You know, best wishes. Just, you know, I appreciate the love and support that everybody gives me. I gotta return it, you know, one way or another. So I'm always available.
That's why you're class act, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mikey, viva México y viva Michoacán.
Ahí está. Viva México. Viva Michoacán.
Gracias.
Ándale.